You're very
Good morning,
welcome.
everyone.
Yes, you're very welcome to our webinar for the microbit. We're very excited to be here. Hopefully, you can all hear us. You can all see us. Um, One thing to just point out, if this is anyone's first time using this platform, is at any point we're going to be going through some activities. You can comment just on the right, and we can see all your comments. We can see everyone saying hello, which is really nice. So look, there we go. Hello, St. Brides. Hello, St. Mary's. I'm not going to go through them all because there's so many. Hello, Irish Society. So yeah, and then there we go. There's Dan Patrick as well. So you can comment so we can see everything. So if there's any questions that you have, just let us know. Another thing is that you can pause this. So, for example, if Paul is taking us through a little activity and you guys are like, my class wants to spend a wee bit more time on this, you don't need to rush ahead with us. You can just hit pause. We don't know. We're not paused in the real life. It's totally fine. And you can just keep going. So there's more hellos coming through, which is great. I'll pop those up at some point. But yes, so we're just really excited to be here. Hope you are all ready with your microbits. And I'm just going to kick us off with just a little introduction to microbit, and then we're just going to get stuck in. So as you can see, we've got Paul from Nerve Centre Derry, we've got Donna from Nerve Centre Belfast, and we've got James from the AMMA Centre in Armagh, who's going to just do a little wave. Hi, James. So yes, they're just going to take you through 3 different activities today, and yeah, let's just have a wee look at what that's going to look like. So yes, today we're going to be looking at the microbit the next gen, because hopefully everybody has their microbits, or at least has requested their microbits. So let me just take you through. Like I said, we're going to be doing 3 activities today. So Paul is going to be taking you through how to create your own micro pet. This is going to bring back a lot of nostalgia for all the teachers out there of little, although Tamagotchis are now back, I think. So yes, he's going to make you make a little sort of digital pet that you can feed and stuff like that. Donna is going to take you through a light level meter, which is really cool, which is all about the interaction between how much light is let into your microbit. It's using all the sensors that are built in. And then James from AMMA is going to be taking you through Jungle Hunger, which is actually a Scratch project, because the microbit can pair up with Scratch. So hopefully that all makes sense. Equipment-wise, if you don't have this now, you might need to hit pause and get this sorted. But you should, hopefully, most of the kids, you might be working in pairs and stuff. We've got a Chromebook or a PC. iPads kind of work, but what we're going to be doing, it's a bit easier to do on the computer. You're going to need internet access for the kids, and then a microbit is optional for the first 2 exercises, but you would, if you want to follow along with Scratch, you do actually need a physical microbit to do that. There's some kids are commenting, just saying, hi, I'm P6. That's great. Hi, P6. So yes, a little overview of the microbit then. Microbit is a tiny computer. It has 25 LEDs. There's a lot of different inputs and buttons. And I'm going to show you what the new ones have. I'm not going to show you in great detail because I could probably spend about half an hour just talking about what the microbit is, but it has lots of inputs. So you've got buttons, you've got light sensors, you've got like a little accelerometer, which measures the movement of the microbit, and you've got outputs. So the new microbits have speakers built in. They also have their little LED screen or LED lights that can output designs and things that you do. So yeah. So the front of your microbit is the one that has the little LED screen. There's loads of different things here. Again, I'm not going to show you in great detail those, but I'm just going to talk about a couple of them. So it has a microphone built in. It's got 2 different buttons. The little yellow microbit logo is also a button now. So that can also be an input or a trigger. And yeah, and then you just plug it in with your USB, and then on the back is where kind of all the magic happens. That's where the little the processor, which is the computer brain, is there. It also has a speaker now built in, which I'm sure teachers are thrilled about. More noise in the classroom, yes please. And then it's got a radio antenna, which is really cool. So you can create your project to broadcast signals to your friends' microbits sitting. So you can send like little messages to each other. And yeah, and then like I said, there's an accelerometer for different movements, and you can actually plug in batteries and make it wireless and walk around and do some code. So yeah, I think it's pretty great, the new hardware. Hope that all makes sense. We're getting loads of comments from tons of kids, which is great, um, on the presentation here. And then to get coding then, so basically there are 3 different ways that you can kind of get started on coding, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm going to let Paul kind of explain what he's doing. We're going to attempt something that Microsoft or Microbit themselves have probably not tried. So it'll either be excellent or unwise. We shall see. But basically, we have makecode.microbit.org. So it's all like browser based, the coding. So that's where we're going to be leading you through some projects there, and you can code using the online editor. You can code using blocks, sort of very similar to Scratch, or you can switch over to Python or JavaScript, which is really cool. There's also Classroom. That's more for teachers to know about. It's great. So Classroom, you can host a virtual classroom and get all your kids to join in. It's brilliant because you can see all your pupils on the left. And then if you want to see what their code is like, or if a kid has an issue, you just click on their name, you can see their code, and you can actually change it and hit send, and it will update on the kid's screen. It's really, really cool. That's sort of a newer feature of the microbits. And then Scratch 3, we all know, we all love Scratch 3, also has a plugin built in for the microbits that you can actually code your existing games. You can swap over. So instead of like when I hit the left key, you can be like, when I hit the A button, do this. When I hit the B button, do this. It's really, really cool. But that's mostly for me. You don't need to hear from me today. I'm just doing the boring welcome, welcome, welcome. We're getting a lot of comments here, mostly kids talking to themselves in the same class, which is great. So what I'm going to do now is, we're back to everyone here. So the first person to go is going to be Paul, and he's going to be taking us through that little micro pet project that he has. And I will put that little link up if nobody has downloaded it, Paul. So I'll just pass over to you. And yeah, you go for it.
Great, thanks very much, Ruth, for that introduction. Fantastic. So hopefully everybody is ready with their microbit and their code. Now, if you don't have the code, you shall see the code here now just at the bottom of your screen. It is bit.ly/microclc. And if you type in that code or that URL, you should get this code that you see now on the screen. So what I have made for us today is, as Ruth was saying, it's basically a Tamagotchi. So it is a coded pet for your classroom that everybody's going to have. And your pet needs fed, it needs changed. You can rub the head of your pet at the top and put it to sleep. You can shake it and it'll make noises. It'll make faces as well. Now we're going to use maker code for this, and make code, as Ruth was saying, it is block-based code, and we have simply 3 blocks here that we're going to code in. So once everybody is ready to go, I'm just going to explain this, that on the left-hand side of our screen, we have the microbit simulator. So if you don't have your microbits yet, you can still see exactly what's going to happen when we connect our microbit. Now, at the moment, your microbit might be making some noise. If you simply press stop at the bottom, you can stop all that, and all the teachers are probably saying thank God at the minute because it makes some noise. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how we actually drag blocks in and how we connect the blocks. So we have on shake, on logo, and on button B. So if we click on the side here, we have all of our different blocks of code, and I just clicked on basic, and I'm going to drag in our show icon simply by clicking, holding, and dragging it across and just dropping it in there like that. And it just clicks in like a jigsaw. So you should hear snap. If it's sitting kind of outside, you'll see that it doesn't be colored in. It has no color. So that lets you know that it isn't going to work. It isn't connected. So we drop it in, and we can change the icon into any number of icons. So when we shake our pet, I want it to make a sad face, and I have a sad face here. So it's going to, on shake, show me a sad face. And then I also want our micro pet to make a sound. And we also have a music block here as well, which is the red one. So if I click on the music blocks, you'll see then that I have a whole load of different blocks of code that I can choose from. So if I scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see this one that says play giggle. And the same as before, if I click on it and drag it out, I'll just place it right underneath the show icon, like so. It just clicks in. So we've got the giggle, and he's got a sad face, and perfect. Microbit have put in a sad sound for us to play. So when we shake our pet, it's going to make a sad face, play the sad sound. But I wanted to play the sad face for a particular period of time. So it's not going to be sad forever. It's only going to be sad for a short while. So we go back to basic, and we drag in the pause one, which is down here. Pause, we click that, drag it out, and we pause it then for 5 seconds, which is at the very bottom. So it is as simple as that. We are using 2 pieces of code. We're using the basic and we're using the music. And then after he is sad for 5 seconds, go back to basic. We drag in the show icon again, and we change the heart to a happy face. And then our pet is happy again. So that piece of code just tells our microbit that when we shake it, show me a sad face, play a sad sound, be sad for 5 seconds, and then be happy again. It's as simple as that. So just remember, guys, if I am going fast, just pause the video at any point, and then you can catch up. So for the next one is on the logo. And almost like whenever you stroke a baby's head or whenever you pet your dog, whenever you touch the logo, it's going to put our pet to sleep. So we do the same sort of code again. Back to our basic. Drag in the show icon. We change this icon now to a sleepy face. Just this one. Asleep. And then now what we want to do is we want to play a sleep sound. So we're going to music. Scroll down the very bottom again. Find our giggle. Play giggle. Click and drag that out. Click on your giggle drop down box, and we've got a yawn at the very bottom. It's almost as if Maker Code or a microbit have made the code for us. It's great. And we don't want the pet to sleep forever, so we put in the pause one again. Back to our basics. Click on the pause, bring it over, and change the 100 by clicking on the little drop-down menu. Change that to 5 seconds. And then back to basic again, show icon, and back to the smiley face. So it is as easy as that. So it is for them 2 blocks of code. So I will just make sure that everybody is up to speed. If you do have any issues, again, let us know in the comments, or you can just pause the video. So what I've done previously is I've made most of the code, and our code has something called variables. I'm not going to explain variables too much. Basically, there's a variable in here that is the smell level of your pet, because pets need changed. If you ever have had a hamster in your classroom, you need to clean out the hamster. So whenever we feed our pet also needs changed. If the smell level rises too much, that's going to be bad. So I've put a variable in called smell level. So if I go to variables for this one, this is something different. So under button B, we go to variables, and then you'll see change smell level by 1. We drag that out and put that in there. So that is, we're going to put that now to change the 1 to a -1 or a -1, as you can see. So that means now that whenever we press our button B on our microbit, it's going to change it's going to empty out the cage basically off our micro pet and bring the smell level down. So then once we do that, it's going to have a nice happy face. So we drag in the show icon, change that to a happy face like before. And then we're going to play a happy sound. So we go to music, scroll down the bottom, we see the giggle, click and drag the giggle out, change the giggle to a happy sound, and then he's going to fall asleep. So go back to basic, drag in the show icon again, and this time back to sleep. And he's going to do that again for 5 seconds. So back to your basic, scroll down until we find pause, drag that out and change the 100 to 5 seconds. And that's our 3 pieces of code. And that is the basic kind of building blocks where you can then start building loads of different things. So that is our microbit. That is our pet all changed. So we have coded that whenever we shake it, it's going to be sad and play a sad sound. If we press the logo, then he's going to go to sleep for 5 seconds. And then whenever we press button B, that is going to change, clean out our pet's cage basically and make the pet happy as well. So also our pet, I've coded in a few bits of extra code here for you. So whenever you press button A, it actually feeds the pet, and the pet needs fed every 3 seconds. So it does, or not every 3 seconds, every minute, I should say. Every minute. Okay, so we're going to try something new. As Ruth said, I have done this in Microbit Classroom, as you can see. So if I just go back here, you can see now that I am in the classroom, and this is the full piece of code. So what I'm going to try and do, Microsoft and BBC have not done this yet. This is something new that we're going to try out, is I'm going to try and get everybody to join my classroom so then I can send everyone the code. So how I do that is I'm going to invite everybody here. And if everybody can go to microbit.org/join, you will see a classroom that looks like this. And you type in the exact weather, color, place, and number and passcode that you see here on the screen. So Stormy Red Castle 15, and then the passcode. And then you'll be asked to enter your name. So enter a new name, enter your name, and hopefully I will be able to see some people joining here at the side. Maybe Ruth and some of the other guys in the team there, they might join as well, just so we do have somebody on that we can demonstrate this.
Will do.
So we'll give everybody maybe a minute or two just to try and get logged in. And then what I can do is I can send everybody the full code. And then everybody will have their very own classroom pet to play about with. So a few people saying slow down. Yeah, don't worry. At any point, you can pause the video and you should be able to then catch up. Just to make everybody aware as well, this is going to be recorded and it is going to be put onto the Nerve Centre's YouTube page for you to watch back, watch again, practice, do loads of things with. So let's see. Okay, so great. I can see a few people coming in. So Microsoft did tell us that this was only going to work with 30 people. We have 4,000 roughly on today. So we're hoping that it's going to do one of two things. It's going to work or it's going to crash my computer, but we shall see. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, as they say. So there we go. Great. I am seeing loads of people coming in. We'll give everybody, let's say, another minute. Says can't be reached. Someone got confuddled. That's totally fine.
Yeah, folks, if you just keep the comments to just if you have any questions or queries, not just like having a conversation with people, that would be great. 'Cause as much as I love reading your conversations, we're kind of losing all the questions that people actually have. Thank you.
So yeah, just to explain that again, if everyone goes to microbit.org/join, you'll be asked to type in the code, which is the weather, the color, the place, and the number. And then you've got a passcode for our specific classroom that I've made. And then if you enter a new name, so you'll see something that pops up saying enter new name, and then just write in your name there. So I've got Adam and Leah in here. I've got Ben and Eva. I've got Callum. I've got Kieran Mullen. I've got DT, Daniel, Sophie, Divine, Donna, Ellie and Jack, Harry and Eva. So loads of people on there. And I'm only going to give people another minute because I'm aware that we do have time restriction today as well. And I'll just show you what the cool thing that we can do with Microbit Classroom.
One thing to point out as well just is that if you are joining us after this is live, this classroom link will not work. So you can just see this as a showcase of it, but you'll not be able to join in, just in case anyone's wondering.
Yeah. Well, we're already over the 30 limit that Microsoft said, which is great. So it's going to work with more than 30. We know that. Okay, guys, if you want there, I will put the classroom code into the chat. And the color, there we go, let me just see. So I will put this into the chat here, and you can still join. I'm going to just demonstrate. Oh. Go. Okay, perfect. So we are at 43 people. Brilliant. So what I'm going to do now is I will just show you what I can do. Is I can send the code. I'm going to click all students here at the top so I can see all my students. This is fantastic for teachers. I can click on the any student, or I can click on all students. I'm going to send code. Now you should get on screen here a pop-up that says accept code. Click the black button that says accept code, and you will have then my full piece of code here. And just write into the comments if you have got that or not. I've got 51 people still joined. And at any point as well, I can click on, let's say, any student. I can see their code. Brilliant. So I can see Lewis's or Martina's code. Let's see Martina's code. Brilliant. So I'm just going to send that again. I've 57 people in here now. Back to me. Send code one more time. All students, send code. And when you get that pop-up, just hit accept code. Fantastic. This is brilliant. 62 people joined. Amazing.
Doubled it, yeah.
Amazing. So it worked. It worked. Not quite the 4,000, but you know what? So guys, that is it. What you can do now is you can actually connect your microbit and download it. Donna is actually going to show you how to do that. And then whenever you're finished, you can connect your microbit using the battery pack. And then you've got your little pet that you can feed and make different noises with and shake and do fun things with. So guys, that is it from me. Hopefully you found out something new and you had a bit of fun. Enjoy making noises, enjoy playing with your pet, and I'm going to pass back to Ruth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. So yeah, like I said, a lot of comments just saying about slowing down. Don't forget you can pause this at any time. Yeah, so thank you so much, Paul. That was great. Being able to make our virtual pets and also define Microsoft in how many people you can have in one room. That's perfect. Now we're going to go over to Donna, who is going to sorry, the virtual pet noise just went off in my ear while I was talking in in Paul's classroom. I was like, we're going to go over to Donna now, who's going to take us through how to do a light level meter already. So I'll pass over to Donna.
Thank you, Ruth. So what you need to do to start this one is go to makecode.microbit.org. Do we have a link that we can pop up on the screen? Thank you so much, Ruth. So I'll give you a few seconds just to type that into your search bar at the top. And hopefully then whenever you've typed that in and you're at makecode.microbit.org, then you will see a screen very similar to mine. So if I scroll down, there are different tutorials that you can work through. But what we're going to do now is we're going to create a new project. So I'm going to click on new project. And because we're creating a light level meter, I'm just going to call it LLM because it's a lot easier than typing in light level meter. So you can do the same. You can call it LLM and then your name afterwards if you want to. And then I am going to click on create. It gives you a kind of welcome prompt, so you can read through that if you want to, but I'm just going to click on the X to get rid of that because I will be taking you through a quick kind of tutorial, so you don't need to worry about that. And hopefully you are a bit more familiar with the interface now and with the simulator and your different coding categories and the coding workspace over here as well. So the reason why we're creating a light level meter is because, well, firstly, I thought it would be a really kind of cool thing for you to see on the simulator, but also on your physical microbit as well. And with the version 2, so the new microbit, it has a light sensor. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using that light sensor that is built into the microbit. And then we're going to get the microbit to kind of tell us how bright the light is near it, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like a brightness meter. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete the on start block that we have here, because we're only going to be using the forever block. We want everything that we pop in to our code, we want it to be running always over and over again. So we're going to be using forever, which means we can get rid of the on start block. So I'm just going to click it and drag it over to the left, and you'll see a bin icon pops up. And then I can just release, and that's it deleted. And then I'll just move my forever block over very slightly. So Paul talked a bit about variables. We're going to be using variables in this project as well. So a variable is basically a container that stores information, and it means we can access that information later on or refer back to it. So the variable we're going to be creating for this project is called reading, because we're basically going to be reading the light level. So what we need to do is we need to go to variables, and we're going to make a variable. So in Paul's project, you had the variables already created for you. In this one, we're actually creating our own. So click on variables first and then make a variable. And as I said, I'm going to call it reading. So type in reading and then click OK. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drag in set reading to 0 into our forever loop. So make sure it snaps into place. And what we want is we want this reading to be of the light level, as I said, and there is already a pre-made block called light level, which you'll find in the input coding category. So if you go to input and then see if you can find the block called light level. And once you found that, you can then drag that. What we're going to do is we're going to replace the 0. So whenever you kind of hover this block over the 0, you should see that the 2 red nodes join. So that means if I let go, that's going to replace the 0. So now it says set reading to light level. And you'll actually see then over here on your simulator, the light control has popped up. So this is where we can tell the microbit what the light level might be. So for example, 128 is in the middle. It goes from 0 to 255. Don't ask me what those numbers mean, but 255 is the brightest that the microbit can read, and then 0 is the darkest. So 0 would just be complete darkness, and 255 would be very, very bright. So then you can kind of move this up and down to tell the microbit what the light level might be. Because this is a simulator, we're kind of pretending what the light level is, but when we transfer it onto the actual microbit, we won't be doing that. The light will be using the actual light that is near the microbit. So even if I change this, nothing is happening yet. And that's because we haven't actually coded it. So we haven't told the microbit what we want it to do whenever it reads those different light levels. So the next thing we need to do is plot a bar graph. So remember I was saying we want the microbit to show us what the brightness is. So we're going to be using a bar graph to do that. And it's dynamic, which means it will change depending on the brightness, which is quite cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the LED category. So this is all your kind of light blocks. And I'm going to choose plot bar graph of 0 up to 0. So it's just the bottom one in that category, plot bar graph. And I'm going to drag that underneath set reading to light level. Okay. And then what we need to do is, as I said, we want the bar graph to show us what the light level is. And remember, we've set the reading to light level. So we're going to drag the reading variable into that first 0. So I'm going to go into variables again, and you'll see that there's a reading variable, which I can drag in And remember about those two red nodes snapping into each other, you can then let go and we know it's going to be put into the right place. Just saw a question pop up about whether you can rewind this. You will be able to watch it back and pause it. I think, can you rewind, Ruth, as well?
No, I don't think so. So there's just a few comments of people getting confused or asking to restart again. So I was just recommending that if you are a bit behind, if you just watch along for now, just because we'd be repeating ourselves. So it's just you can't unfortunately go back in the video. I think you can only pause. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And yes, so once we've done that, then we've plot bar graph of reading, which means the bar graph is going to show us what the light level is. We just need to change the second 0 to 255, because remember I said that's the highest, that would be the brightest, so we can only go up to 255. So you can see now on the simulator, it is actually showing us the bar graph. So these are the LEDs that are coming onto the microbit whenever the brightness is kind of mid brightness. But if I drag that down to 0, you can see there's just one LED that's come on. And then if I turn that all the way up to 255, which is maximum brightness, then all the LEDs turn on. Okay. I think this will hopefully as well make more sense whenever we transfer it onto the physical microbit, and it does it for you rather than us changing the light level ourselves. So once we've done that, we want to show this reading as a number. So we've got the dynamic bar graph, but it'd be quite cool to show the number of the brightness as well. So for this one, we're going to go to logic, the logic category, and we're going to choose that first coding block, if true then, and we're going to drag that underneath the plot bar graph block. And then we're going to go into input, and we're going to find button A pressed. You just want to make sure it's the same shape as true, because we need to pop that into true. So if I go back to input, it's not the first one because that's a completely separate bit of code. If I drag that in, we want this one. Button A is pressed, and again, drag that in and replace true with that coding block. So that means if button A is pressed, then something will happen. So whenever we press button A on the microbit, it will do something depending on what the next block is that we're going to pop in. So we're going to go to basic for this one, and we're going to choose show number. So I'm going to drag in show number into my if statement. But we don't want it to show number 0, which is what it's going to do at the moment. If I click on A, what we want it to do is show the reading variable again. So we've done this before. We go into variables and we drag reading over the 0, wait for those two red nodes to pop up, those two dots, and then release. So then it will show us the number of the light level. So if I click on A now, it will say 128. And that is literally all the code that you need for this project. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try and transfer this onto your physical microbits. So what's really cool about the light sensor in the microbit is that it's the actual LEDs on the microbit that sense the light. So whenever we want to kind of change the brightness that the microbit can see, we can kind of cover it up like this and kind of peek through. And then if we want to expose it completely to the light, then we can take our hand away, or if you have like torches, you can shine a torch on it and it should go to full brightness. So I'm just going to kind of let you play with that. So what we need to do, if you haven't already, you need to plug your microbit into your computer. So the kind of chunky end, the USB end, this goes into your computer, and then the micro USB goes into the top of your microbit. Okay, so you need to do that first. So plug that in, and if you need help, ask a teacher. And then once you've done that, you should see at the bottom next to where it says download, there's 3 dots. I'm going to click on those 3 dots and I'm going to go to connect device. And then it should say connect your microbit to your computer, which hopefully you've already done. Then you go to next. And then it says press the pair button below. So once we've paired it, that means that it's ready to go and we're ready to download our code onto the microbit. So I'm going to click on pair, and then hopefully there'll be a pop-up window that you'll then need to select the microbit that it's showing you on that pop-up window. You might not be able to see it because I'm just sharing my tab. And it also might look different on your computers because I'm using a MacBook. So if it looks slightly different, don't worry. But hopefully there's a pop-up and then you can select your microbit, click connect, and then hopefully it will say connecting to your microbit. And then your microbit is connected. Click on done, but there's still an extra step. So once you've actually connected to the microbit, we then need to go to download. So I'm going to click on download. And then your microbit should flash at the top, should be like a yellow light flashing to show that it's transferring the code. And then, as I said before, you should be able to kind of cover the LEDs on your microbit, and then there will only be a few LEDs that pop up. And then as soon as you expose it to more light, more LEDs will be shown. And then remember, if you press the A button, it will show you the number of the brightness. So give that a go. I'll give you a minute or so to try that and let us know if you have any questions in the meantime. Or if there's anything that I should show one more time if you didn't quite catch it or understand it.
Throw a bit of music on while we're sitting waiting, sure, Donna.
Yes.
Yeah. We can all have a wee jam to it.
Okay, that's probably me then. So I'll pass over to Ruth. Hopefully everyone got their light level meters working. But if not, you can always rewatch the video and try again. Let us know if you need help with anything.
That's great. Thank you so much, Donna. Yeah, I mean, basically, a lot of the comments coming through, just, slow down, this sort of pace. Again, this is just a little live webinar to kind of showcase what the microbit can do. So I've just posted there that the live stream will be available and you can work through that with scrolling and everything at your own pace afterwards. So don't panic if you're just sitting like, I don't know, just sit and enjoy it, sit and watch. And talking about watching, we're going to pass over to James at AMMA, who's going to take us through a really cool Scratch project and how the microbit is able to work with that. So I'm just going to throw you over to James now.
Okay, so thanks for that, Ruth. So hello everyone. I'm going to be taking you through, as Ruth was saying, a Scratch project where we're going to create a 2D catching game, and we're going to basically use our microbits, and we're going to use the A button and the B button to control our character in the game. So again, I'm going to say, don't worry if you can't follow along with me straight away. This is being recorded. You can pause and go back to bits that you miss, and you'll be able to download the video later to go through it. So I'm just going to be jumping over onto Scratch, and I've basically Scratch on Google, opened up a brand new project, and this is what it should look like. If you can't see the little microbit tab on this left-hand side with these blocks of code, you just press this button down the bottom left, and you can then click onto microbit and it will add it in. If you haven't got your microbit connected, you can just click on to go to editor and it will still bring the code in, but you won't be able to then control it with the microbit just yet. So with our game, we're going to create a 2D catching game with a jungle theme. So I need to set up the game a wee bit beforehand because I don't need a blank background with a cat. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my background. And how I do that is by going down to the bottom right, you will see a purple circle. If I hover my mouse over it, it says choose a backdrop. So I'm going to click onto that, and I'm going to basically use one of the backdrops that Scratch have created. So I'm just going to search for jungle, and it should be the first one that appears. So now I have a jungle background. I'm now going to bring in my character or sprite, as they're called in Scratch, and I'm going to bring them in now. First of all, I'm going to delete the Scratch cat. So over towards the right-hand side, down towards the bottom, you'll see sprite 1, and it's got a little icon of a cat. It should show a purple dustbin beside it. I'm going to click onto that. And then down where you got the backdrop, you'll see another purple circle. I'm just going to click onto that. And as you can see, as I hover over it, it's called choose a sprite. The sprite that I'm going to use is a monkey. So I'm just going to search for monkey. And it should be this little sprite here that comes in. So at the moment we have our backdrop set up. We then have our character that we're going to control in the game. So what I'm next going to do is I'm going to set up the character a little bit so they have a spawn location, which I want to be at the bottom of the screen towards the middle. So I'm going to just drag the character down to the bottom. At the moment, they're too big for the game. So you'll see down below where you just drag them, you've got the option for size. So I'm just going to click into that and change 100 to 60 and press enter. And that will make your character a bit smaller, which means you might need to reposition them again as well. And then one of the final things we're going to do before we begin to program this character is we're going to lock their direction so that they can only ever face left or right. If we don't do this, the sprite, as in the image you see of the character, will start to appear facing upwards and downwards and stuff like that. So we're going to change the direction by clicking into direction and choosing the middle option, which will lock it left and right. So the first thing we're going to do then is we're going to code our monkey to be able to move. And they're going to be able to move when we press A on the microbit, they're going to move left. And then when we press B, they're going to move right. So we'll begin with that. On the left-hand side is where you get your different tabs for code blocks. And as you click into each one, you'll see the colors change. So I'm going to click into the microbit one. And I'm going to bring in that first option of when A button pressed. First, or next what we need to do is then tell my character when this button is pressed, what direction do you want them to face? So I'm going to go to motion and bring in point in direction 90. and place it and connect it in underneath the on button A pressed. Point and direction 90, as in positive 90, is facing right. I know I want A to face left, so I'm going to click into that white circle and I'm going to drag the wee pointer arrow to the direction I want them to face, which is to the left. Next, I'm going to bring in my movement blocks, which is the move 10 steps. So I'm going to bring that in and connect it in underneath because I have already set my character to face a direction. I'm now going to get them to move a number of steps. I'm going to change 10 to the number 20, and this will mean that they will move a greater distance whenever button A is pressed. My next step then is I want to have some visual feedback on our microbit. Our microbit has 25 LEDs. I'm going to then have some of these LEDs light up to let the person who's using the controller know what direction A is. And to do that, I'm going to go to the microbit and I'm going to bring in the option that shows a microbit, display, and a heart. The heart is the default option, but we can change that by clicking onto the down arrow and simply clicking on and off the lights and then building the shape that we want by clicking the exact blocks that we want to have basically light up. White will indicate that they will light up. When they're grayed out, it means that they won't. So this here, I'm putting in basically a left arrow. I can then have my microbit, and when I press A, I should then be able to see my little character move to the left, which I will try now. So you'll see on the microbit the left arrow shows, and you'll see on the screen the character moves to the left. Okay, so we've got the left movement working. We're now going to then program the right movement. And the blocks of code are very, very similar. We're going to bring in another when A button pressed, but I want you to notice the A has a drop down, so we can click it and change that to B. We just need another point in direction, and we're going to go to the motion blocks to bring that in. This time we don't need to change this as it's already set by default to point to the right. I'm going to click into it to show that it is that way. Now that we have our character facing the correct direction, we need to bring in our move a number of steps. And I'm just very quickly going to zoom in on my screen just so you can see this code a wee bit easier, because I've just realized I'm a wee bit zoomed out from it. I'm going to change my move 10 steps to 20, and I'm then going to bring in another block from the microbit code of display. And again, doing the same thing, I'm going to click the down arrow, I'm going to turn off all the lights, and then I'm going to create a right arrow by just clicking on the blocks that I need. If I then jump back over to my microbit, you'll see if I press the right or press B, a right arrow appears, and you'll notice on my screen, the monkey moves to the right. And if I press A, it changes back to the left and the monkey moves to the left. So we've got movement programmed into our game now. The next step is we need to then introduce the item that we want our monkey to collect. Because as I said, this is a 2D catching game. So we're going to have another character appear at the top of the screen and they're going to fall. And the whole idea is we will have the monkey move left and right trying to catch the item. So we need to introduce a new sprite. And I'm going to do that again by going to the right-hand side at the bottom. And it's this option that I've hovered my mouse over of choose a sprite. I don't need to even search for this item as it's probably there at the top for most people. I'm going to have the item that the monkey picks be bananas. So I'm going to click onto that and it should go into the screen. We can change the size to make them smaller because at the moment those bananas are very, very big. So I'm going to change the size to 70 just to bring it down a tiny bit so they're not really easy to catch. I don't need to worry about the direction of moving left or right because this item won't really ever move left or right. It will only ever move downwards. I'm going to drag it up to the top middle just to place it as this is where I initially wanted to start. One thing to point out, you will notice that the code has suddenly disappeared. That does not mean it's been deleted. It just means you are coding a different sprite. So if I click back onto the monkey, you'll see my code is still there. But if I click onto the banana, it's different code. So this is how you're able to code different characters to do different things when creating a game. So now that we have the banana in our game, we need to now get the banana to move. And because this is a character that we are not controlling, we need the computer to control that. And how we're going to do that is through an event, and the event is when the green flag is clicked. So into our event blocks, the first option is when green flag is clicked. This is essentially a start button. So when the game is started, basically, we want this banana to start to move. And we want this banana to move forever. So we need to have a bit of control over the movement of the banana. So if I go into my control blocks, there is an option for forever. And I'm going to bring that in. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to bring in from motion. I'm going to set on the coordinates for the banana to spawn. So with the monkey, I dragged the monkey down to the bottom. I was happy with it spawning there. With the banana, I want it to spawn always at the top, but we're going to have to add in some extra code so that it will spawn randomly at the top, but anywhere along the top from left to right. This is simply to add a bit of challenge to the game. If you know the banana always spawns in the same location and drops, you won't really need to move left or right. So I'm going to bring in my set Y as the first block of code, and what I'm going to change that 147 to, it might be a different number for you. I'm going to change it to 250. This will mean that when the green flag is clicked, the banana will always reposition itself to the top of the screen. The next one I need to set is its X coordinate, and this is one that I want it to be random. The X coordinate will work from left to right. If I have it set that it's always going to appear in 2, when I click my green flag, it will always appear in the exact same position, which is slightly off to the top of the screen. So I'm going to change the set X, I'm going to change that to, and I'm going to use an operator. And from the operator, there's the options for pick random. And this is quite a powerful tool when it comes to coding, and it's going to work really nice for us today. So at the moment, it's picking random between 1 and 10. I know that that is not big enough a distance. So what we're going to do is change the first number to minus 250, or 230, sorry. And we're going to change the second number to 230. Now, at the moment, what will probably happen is your banana will start to zoom really fast across the top of the screen. That's okay. That's what we've programmed it to do, so don't be worrying about that. We're going to then start to edit it a wee bit more and make it so that it slows itself down. The next block we're going to bring in is going to mean it's no longer going to move frantically across the top. It's going to start to zoom up and down on the screen. And that block of code we're bringing in is glide. 1 second to an X and a Y coordinate. So what we're going to change in this is how long it's going to take for its glide. I want it to be 3 seconds. And the X position I want it to glide down across is it's going to be set. It's what we'd already picked. So if you scroll down on your motion blocks, you will see there is an X position with a little tick beside it. If I drag that X position in, I'm going to place it in on top of the white box for X. The Y then I want to set myself because I want it to go to a certain position, and that position is minus 250. And what that should do is make and force the banana character to go down to the bottom, then spawn back at the top in a different position along the top on the X-axis. And now you can see we're starting to build the game up, where this might be a bit of a challenge to play, where I will have to, again on my microbit, press the A button or the B button rapidly to get across to pick up the bananas as they fall. Now at the moment it's saying my microbit has lost connection. When this happens, it's as simple as click the reconnect, click connect, and go back to your editor. And again, if you haven't got that on your screen at the moment, don't panic. That's something you can set up later. At the moment, it's just follow along or sit back and watch, essentially, of what we can do with Scratch and a microbit. The last little bit of code for the banana that I'm going to put in is I'm going to put in another control block, and this one is the wait. And the wait allows it that the banana will stop at the bottom and then spawn the top after 1 second. 1 second is probably too long, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to 0.1, which just gives us a wee bit more control over the game, where it looks a wee bit more natural for the banana to be falling, disappearing, and then reappearing at the top. Now that I've coded the movement of the banana, the next thing I'm going to start to code is what happens when my monkey touches the banana. So I'm going to go back to my monkey. So on the right-hand side, I'm going to click onto it and make sure it's highlighted in purple. You'll know you've done it correct because your AMB's button block of code will appear. And as I said, we're now going to code what happens when the monkey touches the banana. This is something that I want to happen whenever the game starts. So I'm going to bring in my green flag. And this is something that I want the monkey to basically forever listen for. So I want the monkey to forever listen if they're touching the banana. So I'm going to go to my control and I'm going to bring in my forever and click it in underneath. What I'm also asking the monkey then to do is basically ask if it's touching the banana. So I need to bring in an if statement. So you will see still in control, there's an if with a hexagon that's blank and it says the word then. I'm going to bring it in and connect it inside the forever. As I'm asking the monkey to basically watch out for or look out for when they touch the banana, that is called sensing. So I'm going to go into my sensing blocks. And the very first option is touching mouse pointer. I'm going to bring that in and put it inside the hexagon on the if statement and change mouse pointer to bananas. Now we have a block of code that says when the game starts, I want my monkey to forever listen for when it touches the bananas. Next thing that I want to do is I want the monkey to do something when it touches the bananas. And what I want it to do is I want it to broadcast a message. So in my events, there is the option for broadcast message 1. Message 1 is a little bit confusing. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to click the drop down and create a new message. And I'm going to call this score up. And this means anytime the monkey touches the banana, it's basically going to shout. You'll not hear it, but internally it will shout score up. And this is a message that other characters and sprites in our game can listen for. What we want to then introduce as well, because this is a game, we want to introduce a way for our game to be scored. So anytime our monkey touches the banana, I want my score to go up by 1. And how I'm going to do that is from my events, I'm now going to bring in a block of code that says when I receive message 1. Message 1 is not the message I'm listening for. I want to listen for somebody shouting score up. So I'm going to click onto that drop down and you will see score up should be there. What happens when I receive score up? Well, I want basically my score to increase, and how we create score in games is through the use of a thing called variables. So I'm going to click onto variables and I'm going to create one. So I'm going to click onto make a variable. I'm going to call this variable score and I'm going to click onto OK. You will see then you will have an extra wee block has been created. So what I want to bring in then and place under when I receive score up is the option in variables called change my variable by 1. So I'm going to drag that in, change my variable to score, which means it's going to change score by 1. And if I even let the game sit, what should happen is when the banana eventually touches the monkey, the score on the top left of the screen should start to go up. Okay. Next, we need to also set a way for when the game starts that the score is reset, simply because you wouldn't want to pick up someone else's game and it already have a score set. So I'm going to go into my events. I'm going to bring in when the green flag is clicked. I want it to set the variable of score to 0. Now that we have this set up, I want to also provide some feedback on my microbit. And how I'm going to do that, again, is go to microbit and go to display. When I want it to display this feedback is when the monkey touches the banana. So I'm going to bring that in and connect it underneath the score up. Now, for those that are watching, you might be wondering why my score is not going up. That's simply because the code I have entered in at the moment has required me to click the green flag for it to run. You can enter in code in real time, doesn't mean it will update on what you view in the game. So once I begin to click the green flag, this will now happen that whenever the banana does touch the monkey, the score will start to go up. And whenever the banana does touch the monkey, on my microbit, you will see a heart. So I'm going to reconnect it. I'm then going to, once it reconnects, I'm going to move the microbit left and right and try and actually play the game. So as you can see, my microbit is showing heart because it was touching the banana. And you can see in the top left, the score is going up rapidly. This is something that we have coded, and I'm going to show you how to fix this by bringing in basically 2 blocks of code. But very quickly, just to finish this, I'm going to explain why this is happening. You'll see on the scratch screen, the banana, as it's dropping down on top of the monkey, it's touching the monkey constantly, which means it's constantly adding 1 to the score. So what we need to do to fix that is we just need to go to the banana and bring in an event of when it hears the message score up. So when I receive score up, all I want to do is hide myself, which me being the banana. So I'm going to go to my looks and bring in the word hide and connect it in underneath score up. Now what this will do will cause another issue, but we can fix it with 1 more block of code. You will now see the banana has touched the monkey and disappeared completely, which means the game is no longer playable. But we then need to tell the banana when to come back into the game. So what we need to do is bring in the show button, and we're just going to connect that inside our forever loop, and it's just at the top inside of it. So now when I click my green flag, I have a banana that will constantly spawn at the top and drop. As it touches the monkey, it will increase the score by 1, but instantly hide itself. And then it will then go back through its forever loop, spawn back at the top, and then begin its descent down through the game again. And as you can notice, the score is no longer going up in a rapid way. It's going up by just 1 exactly. So with these simple blocks of code, we now have it that we have on our microbits. If I connect mine again, we have a game, a very simple game. We could create something more complicated, but we don't have time today. That when I press A, my monkey will move to the left, and I can then pick up a banana and it will increase by 1. It will show a heart on the microbit until I press something else. So if I then press B, it's going to show a right option, and I'll try to pick up this banana, and again, shows a heart, and our score goes up by 1. You can change the difficulty of this game. Simply change the number of steps the left and right make you move. Change the speed the banana falls. There are lots of different ways to basically improve this game. But for today, that's all I'm going to show you. Again, this video will be available for you to pause, go back and watch, and you'll be able to then follow it at your own pace.
That's great. Thank you so much, James. That was really cool, making a little game with the monkey and the catching all the bananas. That monkey's very greedy. Hopefully everyone's okay. We only have about 5 more minutes, 5 to 10 minutes left. It's just mostly me now. Apologies. But I'm just going to show you here. Sorry, too many things. We're just going to show you here one thing, which is just obviously you would have seen this in the whenever you went to microbit, makecode.microbit.org, just down at the bottom. But if you scroll down, you'll see there's lots of tutorials and things there that are really great. So obviously we've shown you a couple of projects to get started, but there are lots of ideas in the tutorials. And you can see there's even ones that have now been brought out specifically for the new microbits, the version 2s, that will showcase all of the cool features that are now in the newer microbits. And the best thing about these is these are all guided tutorials. So once you click on one, it'll walk you through step-by-step instructions as to how to do that. So it's really, really great. Really good to use. I just wanted to show you that. So the last thing is to talk about something that has just launched today, which is the BBC Microbit Playground survey. And instead of you guys all having to listen to me talk about this, what we're going to do is I'm just going to play a video that is all about this project and everything that's to do with it, and then we'll wrap up and then that'll do us. Okay, so enjoy this video.
Hey, what's up? My name's Shireen.
And I'm Big Manny.
I'm Tilly, and this is
Youssef.
Schools all across the UK are about to take part in the BBC's big survey of school playgrounds.
How well with this right here, the incredible BBC Microbit, a pocket-sized computer.
And this is where you come in. You are the next generation of awesome data scientists.
And we need your help.
The Microbit is a brilliant piece of tech. You can program it to do almost anything that you can think of.
we need you to use code to transform the microbit into 4 different tools you can then use to collect important data about your school playground environment.
You need to get creative, curious, and have some fun.
You'll be measuring the surface temperatures of materials.
And we want you to use your microbits to carry out a biodiversity survey.
You'll also be calculating your playground area.
And keeping track of what physical activities you do in the playground.
The microbit is so mighty it can even detect and analyse movement.
It does this through the accelerometer that's built into the microbit and the special program that was created using machine learning. You'll also learn about how the activity tracker program was made and get a chance to train your own machine learning model.
Now that is unbelievably cool.
We can challenge each other to learn new coding skills as we program our microbits and really push each other to become the best data scientists we can be.
That's a great idea.
Let's do it.
Let's see who can collect the most accurate measurements.
Game on.
Can you predict what you might discover? Your results may surprise you.
And by submitting your school's playground data online, you'll be taking part in a pioneering investigation on a national scale.
So what are you waiting for?
Why don't you start by mapping out your playground?
That way, you can identify the boundaries you'll be working within.
We can't wait to see your results. This is going to be incredible.
So yeah, that's the playground survey that has just been launched today. So just a wee bit of information then, the teaching materials are available now. It says it's ideal to do between May and July. And then the submission date is 31st of July, which for a lot of Northern Ireland teachers, you're already well into your summer holidays by then. But that's just to let you know that that's the final date. So you can obviously submit it before you go off on summer break. And yeah, the results will then be published in the autumn term, and it's going to be really great. It's a good way to do data collection, good way to do all of that, and a great way to take the microbits from the classroom out into the playground using all of the battery packs and stuff. So you can find that information. You can find out more just by going to bbc.co.uk/microbit. and all the information is there. Again, this is just launched today, so it's brand new. And I suppose with that note, that is pretty much us. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much to all of the trainers here who have led us through all of the excellent activities. Please don't forget, because it's been most of the comments, that this has just been a live stream, but the best thing is that the video will be available afterwards. So if you didn't quite get to follow along live, you can definitely rewatch this video later and skim through it, pause it, go back, which is something you can't do in the live one, and view it again. So we just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed it. And yeah, happy coding, basically. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.